Kiss of Death is a noir that doesn't rush. No sharp-tongued detectives, no car chases, no stylish shootouts. Instead, it throws something heavier at you. An informant. The main character is an ex-con who went back to crime, not out of greed, but trying to support his family, and ended up in prison. When he loses everything, his freedom, his future, even access to his kids, he agrees to cooperate with the police. Not out of principle, not for justice, just because there's no other way out. And that's where the real trap begins. He's no longer one of them, but he's not really one of us either. He's stuck in between, a man both sides see as temporary. The film doesn't give you easy answers. It simply asks, what happens when there's no good choice? So why would we watch a film like this today? Slow-paced, with no clear heroes. Let's find out. It all starts with a crime. A jewelry store robbery goes wrong, and only one man gets caught, Nick Bianco. He's an ex-con, back in the game for the sake of his family. Now he's behind bars again. At first, he keeps quiet. He believes that's the right thing, that his crew won't forget him. But soon it becomes clear, no one's waiting. One of the guys is living freely, another is getting close to Nick's wife, and the letters he receives in prison show that the life he knew is over.
You're Nick Bianco, ain't you?
Yeah.
Hauser was telling me. You're a big man.
In jail, Nick crosses paths with someone new. A man who smiles a little too long, talks like he's untouchable, and gives off the kind of danger you don't need explained. This meeting becomes part of a chain of events that slowly starts to close in. Worn down by betrayal and desperation, Nick decides to talk to the police. Not for justice, not to make things right, just because there's no one else to lean on. But becoming an informant isn't freedom. It's a different kind of pressure, with its own risks. The police want results. The streets don't forgive. Nick is stuck between two sides, trying to hold on to the last pieces of what matters to him. Kiss of Death isn't about the crime. It's about what comes after. About how fast the people you trusted can vanish, and how hard it is to climb out when everyone wants something from you, and you've got nothing left to offer but hope. But what really makes this film work, and who it still speaks to today, that's what we'll get into next.
Okay, pal, what's on your mind?
This film tackles a theme that still sparks debate: informing. One of the most controversial topics in crime cinema. Informants in movies come in all kinds. Sometimes they're portrayed with sympathy, as people caught in impossible situations. Sometimes they're heroes, helping take down dangerous networks. And sometimes they're traitors, giving up their own out of fear or for personal gain. Here, it's a bit more complicated. The main character, Nick Bianco, used to be a thief. He doesn't talk after his arrest, stays loyal. But soon he finds out he's been betrayed. One of his own got involved with his wife, she's gone. The kids end up in an orphanage, and Nick's left broke and powerless. At some point, Nick breaks. He agrees to cooperate with the authorities, from principled to pragmatic. Not because he wants to, but because there's nothing else left. But that decision puts him in limbo. He gave up his crew, so he's no longer in the family. And to the law, he's just a temporary asset. He disappears from both sides. No longer a criminal, but not quite saved either. And that in-between state is the most vulnerable. The problem is, Nick himself isn't all that compelling. He's a bit dull, passive, too clean-cut, especially when compared to someone who shows up halfway through.
Back after dinner sometime.
Tommy Udo. A maniac, a freak, a sadist. Take your pick. Every time he's on screen, it hits like a punch.
You think a squealer can get away from me? Huh?
He talks, and the air gets heavy. He grins, and you instantly know, this thing enjoys causing pain. There's nothing to explain. He just is. And you believe it right away.
Well, the big man, my pal. They tell me you've been looking for me.
Richard Widmark doesn't just play the role, he lives in it. He doesn't overact, he revels in it. This was his debut, and it made him a star. And no wonder. Villains like this had never appeared in American cinema before.
I'm going to enjoy meeting you, family.
Lay off of him, Tom.
Why, huh?
Everything else pales next to him. The plot starts to feel generic. Some dialogue is almost naive, like the prosecutor showing photos of the kids and saying, "A father of such children couldn't be a criminal?" Yeah, sounds a bit ridiculous now, but maybe back then it actually worked. Still, despite the uneven tone, the film delivers. It asks the question, who are you when you're no longer part of that world, but not yet part of this one? It shows that being in between can be scarier than picking a side. And it proves that sometimes all it takes is one character to make the whole film unforgettable.
You know what I do to squealies? I let them have it in the belly, so they can roll around for a long time thinking it over.
This film isn't for those looking for thrills or action, but it is for those who want to understand what noir heroes never say out loud. Not when they shoot, but when they're alone. When life hits, not the body, but the line between still possible and already too late. Kiss of Death isn't about revenge or justice. It shows the moment when a man runs out of roles. He's no longer a criminal, not a hero, not redeemed, not condemned. He's just suspended, and no one knows what comes next. For some, it may feel slow. For others, dull. But these are the films that shape noir, as a genre about internal breaking points, about what's left when there's nothing left. And still, if you want to see how a single character can carry an entire film, how a villain's presence can shift the tone, the rhythm, the weight, watch it. For Udo, for that smile, for the darkness that walks into the frame and never leaves.